looking at you today, a successful businessman, you have a beautiful family, people would be like, look at this guy, he's living the dream. But it didn't start out that way.
And one night I sold drugs to a cop,
No.
An undercover cop. Guns drawn, and they took me out of there.
What?
I thought my life was over. I had college, I had friends, I had the girlfriend, I had all this stuff, and then all of a sudden, poof, like it was all gone. So lucky to be alive today, like multiple near-death experiences. They dropped me in the snow, and I think that woke me up, like shocked my system enough to like keep me alive. I had burned every bridge that I had. I'm ready to give something else a try. I'm like, holy shit. Wow. If I could do this, I could do anything. From there, it was just a steady brick by brick by brick thing.
Hey everybody, today's conversation is with Andrew Nycz. I met Andrew a couple of years ago, actually through another friend of mine. And over the last couple of years, I've actually learned so much about him. I met him originally to film content for me for my personal brand, but then we began working together on a little bit of a deeper level, and I learned his story. And after learning his story, I knew it was something that I wanted to share with all of you. What you're gonna learn in today's episode from my conversation with Andrew is going to change your perspective on what's possible for you. From early beginnings, battling addiction, even ending up in jail, to starting a business and failing, to where he is today, which is one of the most successful filmmakers and podcast creating people. We're in his studio today, and storytellers. This story from Andrew is one you need to hear, because some of you out there might be questioning whether you're on the right path or whether you should keep going. And what you'll learn today from the conversation I have with Andrew is going to completely shift your paradigm and change your perspective, and hopefully motivate you to keep going to do bigger and greater things. So without further ado, today's episode with Andrew Nycz of Nycz Productions. There's a lot of people in Florida that don't like the fact that people are moving to Florida, especially like where we're at.
I think that's everywhere though.
Yeah, I guess people in Arizona, they're like, people from California are moving here. People in Texas say the same thing about So, but it's weird because when I came down here and I was one of those people, and then next thing you know, I'm starting to see people. And now I start feeling a certain way when I see other Jersey people or New York, and I'm like, wait a second, I was one of them.
There's enough of us here,
right? Yeah. I'm like they should close the border. They should close the border and get it. So you're born and raised in Jersey?
Born and raised, Toms River, New Jersey. Yep.
That's right, Toms River. You had said that.
Yep.
Yeah, that was not too far away from where I was.
No.
So did you go to? There's 9 high schools in Toms River. Which one?
There's 4. There's either 3. Well, there was 3, and I think there might be 4 now. So there's South, North, and East high schools. That's when I was
you were going
in high school, which was 96 to 2000. Sorry, 2000 and 2004. Yeah, it's 3 high schools. I went to Toms River High School South.
I think there's definitely a 4th high school there now.
I believe there is.
Yeah.
I think there's a West now.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be the only other way.
Yeah, I guess they have every other direction.
They can't have high school Southwest, right?
Maybe they could. How was that growing up in Toms River? That's technically the Jersey Shore.
Yeah, it was great. I lived in suburbs. We had everything as kids. Anything that we could have possibly needed or asked for, we had. Growing up, my dad always had me in sports. So I was soccer, organized sports was something that was always happening as a child. So practices, games, tournaments, all that stuff, all the way through elementary school. And then just being a kid, riding bikes around the neighborhood. Our neighborhood that we grew up in was it butted up against a country club. So it was cool. We would always ride our bikes down to the country club. It was it's on the Toms River. We're close to the Toms River, which is why they call it Toms River. Yeah. So we can ride our bikes down to the river. Just do normal fun kid stuff. Play manhunt in the neighborhood. Up north shit,
Yeah, manhunt. Man,
yeah.
I don't even know if they know what manhunt is down here.
The kids in my neighborhood do.
Do they do it?
I'm kind of excited about it.
Oh,
yeah, they do it.
Do you take part? I would be like, let's go.
Yeah, no, I don't take part because they're always playing at 3 or 4 o'clock when it's so hot. I'm just like, let's go have fun.
Can't do that.
Catch me after the sun goes down.
Yeah,
that's when you want to play manhunt.
Well, you gotta wait. You gotta wait for the dark.
Yeah,
you gotta use cover of night.
Yeah, they're also young. They're 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. So
I feel like that is like a forgotten thing. I don't
Yeah.
see, at least where I live, I don't see kids playing outside in the neighborhood anymore.
Yeah. I think some neighborhoods are a little rough around the edges maybe, and that's why people don't do it, or dangerous, or
Yeah.
parents think they're I don't know. But our neighborhood luckily it is gated, but it's like the gate doesn't really do anything, it doesn't have the gate and the thing and the person,
Yeah.
like yours does. It
Yeah.
just has the gate that opens like this, so you can easily follow people in, and there's never anyone there. But anyway, it's like a big it's a big square.
Okay.
So there's only one way in and one way out. So
Okay.
that being said, like there's not a lot of traffic coming in and out. There's no like through streets.
Yeah.
So that's why we're pretty comfortable with letting the kids play there. And then there's a lot of kids in our neighborhood, that are in that age range that are all in elementary school. So yeah, if you go out on a Friday night, or you're there during the weekend, like there's always kids outside. And it's funny that you say like the dangerous thing, or I brought that up, the dangerous thing with like kids. There are people that will go in the Facebook group and be like, "Isn't it dangerous for kids to be riding dirt bikes on the sidewalk?" This and that. I'm like, "Yeah, it is dangerous. That's the point. Like we are out there living our lives. We're not going to sit with iPads all day.
Yeah.
My kids aren't going to do that.
Yeah.
They do have iPads and they do that, but we fish, we ride dirt bikes, we ride bikes, we try to go to the skate park, we go to the park. That's kind of how I was brought up. So I try to do that with my kids.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, they're always like, "Oh, we want to play outside. We want to play outside." And sometimes I'm like, Then I'm like, think about it. I'm like, thank God they want to do that, and they're not just like sitting in front of the TV.
How great is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because as you probably grew up the same way, I grew up the same way. We weren't allowed inside. Well, I'm growing up in a time where there was no iPads, there were no,
Yeah.
iPhones. So getting on my little BMX bike and getting lost, getting around the neighborhood
Yeah.
and not coming home until dinner was just the way of the we
Yeah.
would
Come
build.
home at dinner or when the streetlights come on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We build BMX tracks in the woods. We'd be building jumps. We'd be
Yeah.
building forts. You name it, we did
Yeah.
it. And man, I just like I feel like I don't know. I feel I don't see that a lot. Anytime I do, sometimes driving some of the down, even some of the roads around here, and I see kids just fishing on the side of the road, no
Yeah.
phones. They're just hanging out. You see their bikes on the grass on the side of the road.
Best.
I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
That's what being a kid is what we should be doing.
Yeah.
I want to, I have some questions here, but I want to go back to the beginning, and I'm glad you mentioned about the kids because, of all the things you've accomplished in life, I'm going to go out on a limb and saying being a dad is probably your greatest accomplishment.
Yeah. I think most people would say that. I never went into like my marriage thinking like I want to have children. And
Really?
and I don't know if a lot of guys are like that. I feel like as men, it's just kind of like it's like kind of the last thing you think about. You just kind of like go with what's right in front of you. It's like the first thing is, meet a girl, get married, like spend time together. And then all of a sudden she starts like, we need to have kids. We need to have kids. And you're just like, okay. You kind of just like go along for the ride.
Yeah.
But I knew from like growing up with siblings and just like, I definitely wanted to have kids, but like, thank God for my wife that she kind of gave me like the push that was like, we're doing it and we're doing that. We're not getting any younger, because I didn't get my life together until I was 25, 24, 25. And a lot of people had already had families by then. And like, I had nothing.
Yeah.
I literally rebuilt my life from scratch. So when I met Jen and then, we got married, pretty soon thereafter, I mean, she said like early on, like, hey, like not right away, but we're having kids, and I'm just like, all right, just kind of go with the flow,
Yeah.
But so to answer the question, I would say that it is one of the greatest accomplishments, but it's not the greatest.
Okay, so let's go back, because I think this is the element of when people are listening to a podcast. This is the element that I think a lot of people can relate to and that will resonate with people.
Yeah.
Looking at you today, you are a successful businessman. You are a husband, a father. You have a beautiful family. You have a beautiful home. And someone looking at you today, you have a truck that you drive that I'm jealous of. People would be like, man, this guy look at this guy, he's living the dream.
Yeah.
Like living the dream. But it didn't start out that way.
Yeah, pinch me, right?
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure there was a point in your life where maybe you were dreaming about having what you have today, or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that there's different people at different, what I call chapters in their life. There's different, everyone has different seasons in their life.
Yeah.
Some of your early seasons were a little rough.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up at the Jersey Shore, how was it? Did you? When I look at what you have now, there's a lot of people who look and see people who are fairly young guy like you. Maybe they had some family money. Maybe they had a little boost up. Maybe they had
silver spoon action.
Yeah, a little something.
Yeah.
There's some wealthy parts of Tom's River.
Yeah.
So what was the early years like? Were your parents entrepreneurs, or did you have any push from them, or what was the background there?
Yeah. So always just skated by in school, like kind of like bare minimum type of guy. I had more fun doing other things. I had more fun playing music like throughout. So after organized sports kind of, well, actually, I was going to say after that ended, but it never ended really. I went from soccer to swimming in high school, and swimming led me to like summers at the beach being a lifeguard, which were some of the greatest times. So I always kind of had that like athletic, undertone of things. But like school was kind of like it never really like, I just didn't have fun. Like I wasn't interested in school. Like I don't know. Like I just did enough to get by, and high school I did okay, but then college was like, it was not good, and,
Did you go to college in state?
no. So when I graduated high school, I don't know what it was at the time, but my mom was just like, you're going to college, like away from where we are. And I don't know where that comes from.
That's like the opposite of what most moms want. Most moms want their little boy like close to home.
And if it were up to me, that's what I would have done. I would have went to community college, because here's the thing. I'm like not like a young bloomer, but like I was born on the cusp of the school year. So like when I graduated high school, I was 17, right? When I started college, I was still 17. I literally had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. They're like, what's your major? Pick a major. And I'm like, I don't know, undeclared, because I don't know what I want to do. I was probably still going through puberty at some portion of that.
Some degree, yeah.
Yeah, like still becoming a man, So I was kind of shoved out, and I rebelled against that. Like I was not happy with that. I wanted to, stay home and like figure it out. And I was kind of just like shoved out the door. And from that point on, when I went to college in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, which is a little town in the Poconos. And it was a good opportunity now that I look back at it, but I don't know what, because I was like kind of told to go, or just like I didn't like school, I wasn't swimming there because it was just like, it was too much. Like there was like 3 practices a day. That's crazy shit, So I played drums. That's what I did. And then I partied. I started experimenting with alcohol and drugs, and that took the front seat over everything. I was the guy who was always up, always down to do whatever, always had alcohol and drugs at the house, and I sold drugs in college instead of getting a job, because I thought that was the smart thing to do. So why would I work for, $7-8 an hour when I can, sell weed and continue to party and have fun, And well, what that ended up leading me, it's a bad thing to try to sell drugs, but to also be drunk all the time, because you don't make the best decisions.
Yeah.
And the reality is that's what I was doing for probably 2 years, And one night I sold drugs to a cop,
No.
An undercover cop. Yeah. And, heavily under the influence. And apparently it happened 1 or 2 other times when they were kind of building a case, which is crazy, because I was literally selling like $20 bags of weed,
Yeah.
Yeah, after that, like that, they did like a few like controlled buys. And then the night after that last one, they were in my house with, guns drawn, and they took me out of there.
What?
Yeah. And I ended up doing like 30 days in the county just while they were like trying to figure out what I was going to get charged with and all this stuff. I ended up getting probation. and coming back home, back to Tom's River, and I think that right there was like a catalyst that really, really kind of like broke me almost in a way. Like I thought that at that point in time, I was I was 19 or 20 years old. I thought my life was over. You know, because like I was in this atmosphere. I had college, I had friends, I had band, I had music, I had drums, I had the girlfriend, I had all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, poof, like it was all gone. And I'm back in my parents' basement, you know?
You did 30 days in county jail?
Yeah.
Oh, what
Yeah.
was that like?
It was just like a day camp.
Was it?
Yeah, you just chill, watch TV.
It's not like what you see on TV where
It
like
wasn't-
you're fighting for your life?
No, it wasn't prison.
Yeah.
It was like county jail.
Okay.
Yeah. Like basically, county jail, and I don't know if it's like that everywhere, but it's just where you're held until they figure out your sentence. Or then if you were to get sentenced to like, let's say 2 years, you would go to like a real
Go to
prison.
state. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I got 22 months of probation, which was a blessing and a curse at the same time, because for that next 2 years, I had to work. I had to do drug tests, report to probation, all that stuff. And my addiction just got worse throughout that 2 years, because I don't know if you've seen that show on Hulu about the Purdue Pharma and the OxyContin boom and all that stuff in like the early 2000s.
No.
From Purdue Pharma. Yeah, that's when all the doctors were making money to prescribe OxyContin, and they had these marketing campaigns that it was non-addictive and all this stuff. And it was just flooding the Northeast. It flooded the streets. It was everywhere. And I found like prescription pain pills. And when I took those, it literally took away all the feelings I had of like, oh no, my life is over. What am I going to do? I don't know. I was just completely content, you know?
But you were getting tested, but not for that.
No, I was. I somehow made it through the 22 months of probation while using drugs and not getting caught.
That's wild.
Bro, I remember throwing up outside of the probation office one day because I drank so much water and took these like pills that are supposed to flush out your system. Yeah, I remember like throwing up outside the door before walking into the thing, you know? And sometimes they would test you and sometimes they wouldn't.
Okay.
You know? So, yeah, that like,
so you made it through clean for 22 months,
I
although
did.
you were on drugs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The system's not great, you know?
Yeah.
But it's also like if I were to like now looking back, if I probably failed, they probably would have said like you should go to treatment, you know, which would have been like a gift at that time because I really needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Being that age, being 18, 19, 20 years old, and people are telling you have a drug problem, you have this, you have that, it never feels good. But you also always like say no, I don't. Like you're telling me I have a problem, but I'm telling you I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
When in reality, I wasn't.
So you get done with the 22 months,
Mm-hmm.
and you're clean. They say you're done, you know, and
that's when shit got real bad.
And then so you knew you were now you're off the hook. You made it through probation.
Yep.
And then what happened?
So I was I the only thing I knew how to do was work in restaurants. Mm-hmm. So I was worked in Italian restaurants, pizzerias, and that's what I was doing. So I just literally lived in my parents' basement and just worked and delivered pizza. And
you're about 22, 21, 22 at this time? Okay.
Yep. And
were they saying like, hey, you got to get your act together, you got to get back in school, like what's going on here?
All of that.
Yeah.
All of that, and I was just like, no, I'm just going to work. I'm just going to work, I liked working where I was at because it was right up the street from my house. Mm-hmm. It was cash money. A lot of times I can get paid every day if I needed to.
Yeah.
Which in hindsight is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you worked your day. Here's your 120, 150 bucks, whatever it was. And then I would go and I'd spend it and do it all over the next day. I did that for years. And what happened was there was a shift and the government or whoever it was like shut down the whole OxyContin thing. We're like, these drugs are addictive. They're killing people. And it just stopped. You couldn't find them.
What year was that?
That was 2008 or 2009.
Really?
Yeah. And then not obviously, but if you don't know, prescription painkillers have the same effect that heroin does.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you go, and these little blue pills that were like the 80 milligram Oxycontins or whatever it was, they were like $50, $60, for one pill. And that might last you a day, if you're good, maybe two, maybe you might need two a day. But once those disappeared, my one buddy was like, hey, this stuff in this little wax bag is $10 a bag. And one bag has the same effect as the pill does, So that's how I got introduced to heroin.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's just, it comes through New York City, wherever it is. And it just, into the areas that we lived in. You could literally buy it like at any time, So you didn't have to go anywhere. You didn't have to leave. There were dealers everywhere.
So if I wanted to go buy heroin today, I would be clueless. I wouldn't know where to begin.
Well, that's the thing. You can't. Now it's gone. Now it's all fentanyl.
Yeah. Oh, now it's all fentanyl. Yeah.
Now it's all Chinese. So, the heroin came from the poppy plants or whatever it was overseas, and then they would ship it over. But now they're just manufacturing the fentanyl in China or wherever, and it's coming in. And that's why there's so many deaths and overdoses, because it's so much more potent, and people are taking small amounts and they're dying.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
When you look at the fentanyl death numbers, you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So,
it was bad back then. I overdosed. I overdosed just before I went to treatment the last time. And I so lucky to be alive today. Multiple near-death experience with drug use and drug addiction. And I'll never forget the last time I overdosed. I was into my buddy's house. I had gotten, my mom was like, you can't stay here anymore. This was just before I left to get clean. And I was living at a friend's house, and there was snow outside. And I did one too many. I fell out. They're like, we got to get him to the hospital. So luckily they dragged me out of the house. They dropped me in the snow outside trying to get me into the car. And I think that woke me up, shocked my system enough to keep me alive to get me to the hospital so they can give me the Narcan, which kind of flushes the opioids out of your bloodstream and kind of come to.
I've had to hit people with Narcan when I was on the job.
Exactly. So
a lot of process. I want to go back here because it feels like you went from a college kid who was kind of smoking weed, selling weed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you drop out of school, you're working, living at mom's basement, and then heroin. It sounds very drastic, but I'm sure for you it was the kid who got in trouble in school, came home, smoking a little weed. He's working at the pizza shop up the street from his house. How does that happen?
Yeah.
Was it, when you look back on it, do you ever say, how did I get to that point? To the point where I am taking enough heroin to overdose?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people listening right now that are like, wait a second.
Mm-hmm.
My kid smokes weed. He's kind of bouncing around. I'm trying to tell him to go get a job right now. The nightmare probably for most parents is that they go down that path and then they start using harder stuff, whatever. So how did that happen for you?
So some people believe the disease of addiction is a disease, right? Where it's actually part of your DNA, and you have it, and you may or may not use the substances or not. And some people think it's just a moral bad decision-making skill. You know what I'm saying? So my belief, both my parents, both alcoholics, both sober today, but told me that I had the disease of addiction very young, when I was in 18, 19, and I was, I came home from school and I was struggling. So I kind of always knew that I had it, but never wanted to admit it. And then the other part of it is it's progressive. It is you don't just wake up one day and you're addicted to heroin. It was from 30,000 up, right? College, alcohol, and then experimenting with anything else that I could get my hands on: cocaine, LSD, ecstasy, mushrooms. I did anything that I could find, I did. Right. And that right there is most people don't do that. No. They're like, no, I'm not going to try that. What are you, crazy? To me, I was like, yeah, fuck it. Let's go. That's just kind of how I was. And then, finding, and it didn't just go from Oxycontins to heroin. It was Percocet 10s. They had the little blue Percocet 30s, and then it was the Oxy 40s, and then the Oxy 80s, and it was sniffing them, and then sniffing the heroin. And then, once sniffing it doesn't work, then you go to injecting, and somebody shows you this stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody has to show you the way.
So
you know,
a friend of yours or someone in your network.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. Who I'm still close with today, actually, and they have a good life too. So
No kidding.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
So
So it's a progressive thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not just like, one day I do this. It was like one decision, one bad decision after the next kind of led me there. But like having that like mentality that like, oh, I have the disease of addiction, and that like, I'll do anything to get out of myself. Really, I think that's what most people, if anything, if they need to take something from this or learn, we use drugs and alcohol as a symptom to another issue or another problem. I had low self-confidence, low self-worth. I felt like I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I felt like I had lost everything. I felt all these negative feelings. Put the drug in me, any drug. Doesn't matter what the drug is, those feelings are gone. I feel okay with myself. I feel warm. I feel comfortable. So that it's an escape to a problem that's a little deeper than they may realize they have.
Was alcohol something that you feel was a foundation to that?
Yeah.
Because I hear that a lot when I talk to
Mhm.
people, and it's like it always starts with alcohol,
Mhm.
and then alcohol makes you, I feel, make weaker, poorer decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. And another way to look at it is this. I wasn't the guy to be able to just have one or two beers or whatever, like just chill and party. Like I was the guy who blacked out. I was the guy getting carried out of the bar by security.
Every time from the beginning, from Jump Street.
No. No, I'd be lying if I said yes.
Yeah.
But once I think, we experimented when we were in high school, just very sparingly. But once I got to college, and like I didn't like I lived by myself, that was when like drinking every night till I was passing out.
Were you in a
throwing up.
dorm? Were you in a house?
I was in a dorm for the first like year, and
Mhm.
then the second year we lived off campus in a house.
Yeah.
Like there was probably like 6 dudes in there.
Okay.
And we all had our own rooms. Yeah, big house.
Yeah.
So partying every night.
If there's a parent listening to this that's about to send their child off to college, what's one piece of advice you would be able to give them?
That's a really rough question for me to answer. I would
Just
say
check in, warnings, like,
well, that's the thing is college is such an expression of independence that like you want them to be able to make their own decisions, and you want them to feel confident that they can navigate the world on their own. Isn't that what college is for?
yeah, but I guess the fear, yes, but I think that, of course, there's that
Yeah.
fear that you don't want them to experiment to the point where they go all the way down that bad
Yeah.
path.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that most parents say, okay, my child is probably going to drink. They're probably going to maybe smoke a little, maybe try weed or something
Yeah.
like that. But I think in most parents' minds, that's probably going to be the extent of it.
Yeah.
So how does that translate to you now where snap your fingers before you know it, you're going to be sending one of your children to
For
college,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
So what would you suggest? Like, what do you look for?
I don't even know the answer to that, man. I think as I get a little older and my kids get old enough to kind of make their own choices, I might have that answer. But I think one thing that parents can do is just educate their children. And obviously you'll get some stuff in school, but like they're not going to pay attention to that,
Like Dare. I don't even know if they
Yeah,
still
they're not
do
going to pay
that.
attention to that. And like nowadays it's so dangerous. You could smoke weed and have fentanyl on it.
Yep, and you'd
You
be
know?
dead like that. Yeah.
So I think, yeah, it's like, how do you protect them? I don't know. Like,
Scary.
It's a fucked up world.
Yeah, it's
You
so
know?
scary.
I would say, like, don't do anything. Like, don't. If it's one thing, I would say, like, don't let anyone pressure you into doing something that you don't think is a good idea.
Yeah.
But like that. But then again, it's like if you're 17, how do you know what's a good idea and what's not?
Yeah, you're trying to fit in. You're trying to like not be the
Yeah.
oddball out.
Yeah.
Not look like a.
I wanted people to like me.
Yeah, who doesn't? Everyone wants to be liked, right?
So like, yeah, I'll whatever.
Yeah.
You're doing some coke off the toilet, sure. It's fucking,
So wild.
yeah,
So let's go back to the break point.
sure.
You said you overdosed multiple times.
I had multiple near-death experiences with
Okay.
like automobile accidents and And the last overdose was like the big one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what happened? What was the change?
So really it was, I had burned every bridge that I had. I had nowhere else to go. And I think most people's turning point is there
Mhm.
when you have nowhere else to go. Like I was literally walking up and down the street, like walking up and down Route 37 at the middle of the night with just nowhere to sleep. And I'm just like, dude, what? Like, I can't live my life like this. You
Were you
know?
like homeless?
Not home. You bounce around.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
never homeless to the point where I was like sleeping on the street. I always figured it
Could
out.
have crashed somewhere.
But you get to a point where you're just so tired of living like that.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't have a place to lay my head. It's just like this person's couch, or maybe I can get a hotel room at the Red Roof Inn if my finances allow, or whatever it is. But like, you just get tired of living that life. You know, it was probably 4 or 5 years of bouncing around, IV drug addiction, working every day just to get one more. And I got to the point where I was just like, man, I'm ready to like give something else a try, you know? And I had been to treatment 3 times, and the 4th time is when I actually fully surrendered and was like, I'm ready to really, whatever this place says, whatever my therapist says, whatever they say, I'm going to do. Because up until that point, I'm just like, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. I'll do that.
Is this
And
an inpatient treatment?
Yeah.
Like, so you went somewhere and it was
Yeah,
residential.
my last day was it was 28 days in a place in northern New Jersey, and had a little bit of a spiritual awakening there, man. And I just kind of was like, you know what? I'm beat down to the point of exhaustion, physically, mentally, emotionally, and I'm gonna try something different, you know. And I'll never forget this. They, you know, and my parents were on board with completely cutting me off, like not like, you cannot be around here, you cannot come here. The job was gone. I was stealing from the job, so the job obviously was like, you're not coming here.
Yeah.
You know, so I had no way to make money. So what am I going to do? You know, and I did the 28 days in treatment, and I really started to feel better towards the end. I really started to like do some work on myself and like listen to what they were saying and the groups and the therapy and all that stuff. And my last day there, they were like, here's two brochures for 2 treatment programs, or 2 halfway houses. Sorry, like transitional living.
Okay.
One's in Delray Beach,
Mhm.
and one's in Minnesota.
Wow.
Pick where you want to go. I'm like, well, I grew up near the beach. I love the ocean. I love being outside.
Yeah.
The idea of it being like 70 degrees all year round sounds great.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up in Delray Beach. And I moved to this transitional living house, or halfway house, call it. And my mom paid for 2 weeks of rent.
Okay.
So I moved down here with 2 suitcases of clothes, 2 weeks of rent paid, and I had to figure it out.
No shit.
Yeah. So I immediately went to Craigslist, found a pizzeria. It was the only thing I knew how to do.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I don't have time to fuck around.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go try to start a new career, go back to college or whatever. I need cash
Yeah.
to pay my rent,
Yeah.
because in the halfway house, it's 200. It was probably $200 a week or whatever
Okay.
at that time. It's due every Monday, so I had 2 weeks to come up with $200. You know, I'm
Okay.
like, okay, I could do that.
Yeah.
You know, I could work $8 an hour, $9 an hour. Went on to Craigslist, found a pizzeria that was hiring in Boca. The day that I moved here, took the 1 bus from Delray to Boca. It took an hour. Got the job right away. And the guy's like, when can you start? I'm like, right now. I'm like, today.
No kidding.
And I just boom, started making pizzas. And I did that for a year. I drove the 1 bus from Delray to Boca every day for a year, an hour back and forth. And I learned a lot in that year. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about, you know, the value of money, you know, paying my own way. And of course, being involved with the 12-step program.
Yeah.
And we were right near the big meeting house in Delray, which is called the Crossroads Club. And I was there every day. I was in meetings every day. I was talking about my life, trying to get better. And once I hit that year, everything changed. Everything was better.
1 year sober.
Yeah, I had confidence. I had friends. All right, I had my car back. I had a little bit of money in my pocket, and then I got a job at a treatment program.
You did.
And for the longest time, okay, so when I got arrested for the drugs in college, I got 3 felonies, and 3 felonies of possession with intent to deliver. And when you do that in Pennsylvania, for some reason, I don't know why, you can't get it expunged. It's there forever.
Ever.
It's there forever.
Wow.
So if you run my background right now, you'll see it from 2007. And it's 2026 now.
Yeah.
So most people are like, okay, it was 20 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
But I can't get rid of it. So I use that as a lie to tell myself I'll never get a regular job. I'll never have a clock thing with a badge, and I'll never have health insurance. I'll never be able to get a credit card. Blah blah blah, all the negative shit.
Yeah, yeah.
But when I got that year and I had that confidence, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna. And one of my buddies was like, dude, come work here. Dude, this is great. We make $15 an hour. We have benefits. I'm like, dude, okay. Sat down for the interview. I straight up told the guy right away, yo, I got 3 felonies. I'm not even gonna waste anybody's time. Like, is that okay? And he's like, hey, everybody here has felonies. And I got a job that had benefits, that had insurance, I had a time clock. I was helping other people. I had a little badge thing with my name on it. I'm like, holy shit.
Wow.
If I could do this, I could do anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that is such a small part of my story, but it's such a monumental thing for me to break the mental fuckery that I'm telling myself that I'll never be able to do anything. Right?
Yeah.
I needed that. I needed to get that job. And then from there, it was just a steady brick by brick by brick thing.
No kidding. So
Yeah.
at this point, you got to be late 20s.
Yeah.
Right.
So 2012, 26, 27.
26, 27.
Yeah.
And there was no intent to go back to Jersey or anything like that.
No, once I got settled here, I realized like this is paradise.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah,
know?
it totally is.
And then because after that year too, I got a townhouse with 4 other guys who were in recovery, who were sober.
Okay.
And I lived there for like another 2 or 3 years. And man, we had incredible times together.
No
We were
kidding.
all sober. We were all living life and we were all doing well. I'm like, man, why would I ever move? And then I met Jen and then we got an apartment. And then I'm living with my girlfriend, and then we got engaged and then we bought a house. And I was like, why would I go to New Jersey? There's
Yeah.
shit in New Jersey.
No, no. And
Yeah.
I'll ask you this because I've talked to other people who've kind of gone through something similar. And they said actually removing themselves from
Yeah.
the space where, I guess, like the scene of the crime, if you would.
There's a saying in the program, they call it people, places, and things, right? If you hang around the same places, the same people who are doing the same shit, guess what you're going to
you're
get?
going to end up in. Yeah.
It's like when you go to the barbershop, get a fucking haircut.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's always good to get outside
Yeah.
your element,
So what a crazy turn of events that you actually ended
Yeah.
up working for like this treatment
Yeah.
center.
Yeah, there's a thing that happens. Like if you've been through some shit and you can identify with people who are going through it, you have the
Yeah.
means to help them.
Yeah.
Which is really cool at the time. Like I had nothing.
Yeah.
And now I'm like here, I'm like telling people like, hey, if I did this,
I went through it.
if
Yeah.
I changed my life, you can do it too. It doesn't matter who the fuck you are, like what your situation is. Because that's the thing. As people who struggle with addiction and we use drugs and alcohol to cope with these feelings or whatever we've been through in our life, we think we're the only ones who've been through those situations. When in all actuality, everybody's been through shit. You're not unique. You're not. That's the thing. We think I'm special. I'm different. Nobody knows the pain that I had. Like everybody knows it. You just have your blinders on. You
Yeah.
think you're special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about the meeting your wife, because
Mhm.
I talked to a lot of people, and I did a podcast on this the other day when I had lunch with a guy who was a billionaire.
Yeah.
And I remember I was trying to get business stuff out of him. And I was trying to say, hey, what was the biggest thing you did? What was, and he said the most important thing is marrying the right woman.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what? And he said, let me tell you something, man. And he's in his 70s, I think. And he said, there's a lot of decisions I made in my life that were good financial moves. He said, there's a lot of decisions I made that were bad financial moves. He said, but the most important decision I ever made in my life was choosing my wife and choosing her as a woman to be with, and then ultimately making her my wife. How did that happen?
She came into the pizza shop, actually.
No, really?
Yeah, yeah. It was another buddy from the recovery community.
Mhm.
He really liked garlic knots for some reason. He's like, you got to come to this spot, try these garlic knots. 'Cause the guy who owned the pizza shop was from New York. He's a New York wise guy, so they had some good food.
Yeah.
And he brought her in, and I don't know if he was kind of was playing matchmaker or whatever, but that's how we met, and from there it was just. It all felt so easy.
Yeah.
I think that's something that a lot of people who might be single or looking for love or trying to find that person, they're trying too hard in my experience, things just happen organically. They happen the way they should. And like meeting her was just such a casual part of the journey that just happened so beautifully that it was just meant to be.
I'm a big believer in that. Like, let the
Yeah.
universe bring,
Yeah.
like,
It's like,
bring it to you and let it be
yeah.
organic.
It's like when you're looking for shit, you never
You
find
never
it.
find it. You just
Never.
got to let it go,
Yeah.
and it'll appear. Sometimes
Right.
it'll appear in that same drawer you looked in 10 times.
Exactly.
And you're like, wait a second, I know I looked there, but once you let it go, it appears, you
Mhm.
know? So you at some point became a business owner yourself, right?
I did, yeah.
So
Okay, so in between that job at the treatment program and becoming a business owner, there was a lot of different jobs, sales jobs, call centers, a lot of stuff that didn't excite me,
okay.
but paid the bills,
Hmm.
right? And in between there, while I was doing that, I'd always liked making videos. I'd always liked taking photos,
Hmm.
and obviously had no money when I moved here, but again, Craigslist was huge. I don't know. I was always on
I don't even
Craigslist
know if
back
it's
then.
still around because
I don't
Facebook
know.
Marketplace, but I
Yeah.
remember
I was always
Craigslist.
on Craigslist, and I'm like, man, I bet you I could find a camera for a couple $100. And it was a real big stretch for me to buy a camera when I'm living check to check. But I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? Fuck it. I just got to do it, So I bought the camera, and I was just having fun, just taking pictures of my friends whenever we went out to eat, or my friends were in local bands, so I used to take pictures of bands, So I did that all throughout that stretch of time when
Hmm.
I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do, like career wise.
Hmm.
But I never thought that I could make money doing it
Hmm.
because somebody just implanted that idea into my brain years ago, and I'm just like, okay, like that's their belief. I just adopted it,
Yeah.
and I was working actually at another treatment program. It was 2018, the end of 2019, and I was doing really well. I was manager. I was in a managerial role, and I was doing great. It was in Miami. We were driving a lot, but one day I walked in there, and they were like, "Yeah, we just don't have the resources to employ you anymore." And I'm like, "Wait a second. I thought I was doing great.
Yeah.
Like I'm a manager. Like we were doing great things for the company." And something really happened to me at that point. I think I was like, okay, I'm not ever going to put myself in a situation that allows anybody to ever tell me that one thing right there ever again, you know.
Yeah.
And I started a business then, and it wasn't a smart move. I burned a lot of cash, but that was like my MBA. 2 years. We ran a brick and mortar juice and smoothie bar out of a fitness studio in Coconut Creek.
Hmm.
And I thought it was going to be a home run. We're inside of a fitness studio. It's Coconut Creek. People have money, but it's easy. But there was a lot of little things that I didn't look into before I started. Like you couldn't have a sign on the street. You couldn't have a sign on the building because I was a sublease. And, it was hard for people to come in because it was inside the gym. So people who weren't a member of the gym kind of felt a little out like it was weird, a weird thing. Like how the LA Fitness have the smoothie bars? Like people
Yeah.
don't go into the smoothie bar just for a smoothie.
Yeah, it
If
feels
you're not
weird.
working out, it feels
Yeah.
weird. Yeah. So but I grinded it out for 2 years, man. I learned so much. I burned so much cash. I lived off credit cards. I learned about business taxes and payroll and sales tax and hiring people and branding. And throughout that process, but I was still creating. I was taking photos of the products and building up. We had a great Instagram and a really cool website and all this stuff. Um, and then it was funny. A couple months before COVID happened, I was like, you know what, this is just not working. I cannot sustain this anymore. And I left, and I was like, look, terminate the lease. You could take all the equipment, whatever. Just let me out of here.
Yeah.
And they let us out. And then like a month later, the gym completely shut down because
Oh,
COVID.
wow.
So like, if I didn't get out of there when I did, I would have been stuck with the lease, stuck with the closed business, stuck with all the equipment. But something was telling me, man, just try to get out.
Yeah.
Try to get out. And I did, and I got out, and I made it out of that. Like I said, I learned a lot, integral part of my journey. And you know what? Both the partners of the business we're all doing different things now, and we're all doing really well.
Okay. Oh, so you had partners
So
in that.
I had partners in
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That was another thing I'll never do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and then from there, I was like, shit. I burned all my cash. I was like, shit. I got to find a job where someone will pay me like full-time salary to make videos.
Okay.
So I was like, and take photos.
Yeah.
And I found that, and they're still a client of mine today, which has been an incredible relationship. But I worked there for 3 years,
Uh-huh.
and I was still taking photos, still taking videos. I was working nights and weekends, And I got into like the second or third year of that job, and I'm like, wait a second, I'm making more money nights and weekends doing photos, videos, doing weddings, events, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I took the numbers. I did it for a year. I'm like, wait a second, I made X amount of money in a year, and I made less working the 9 to 5. So I'm like, I think I'm onto something here. I think I could. So when I went in for my review, and I was like, look, I'm not going to ask you guys for more money. I want to leave, but I still want to work for you, you know? And they were like, yeah, that's a great idea, you know? But here's another thing. I had a coach at the time who helped me map out the whole process. And it took me like 9 months to figure this out, right? And I think that's another thing that people don't think about. A lot of times you need an outside point of reference for someone to tell you like, hey, this is a good idea, or like you can do that. Cause like for me, I was always like, it's this or that. It's this or that. I can have the business and I can run it, or I can have the job. Right? But my coach is like, bro, you can have it all. You can have both. We'll figure it out. And we did, you know, and that was like almost 4 years ago now.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So when did you actually start your brand?
My brand, so I filed for the LLC in 2022.
Not that long ago.
No, not that long ago.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
And look at where you're at today.
Yeah, built the business as I was working full time,
Yeah.
right? So I had a great clientele once I left the full-time job and like going out on my own. I felt comfortable with that. And I built the business out of the spare bedroom of my house. You know, that's where I spent a lot of time. And then eventually, you know, just recently now we're sitting here inside the studio. I got to a point where I was like, look, this is the next level up.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay stagnant if I don't like try something different.
Yeah.
You get to a point where it's like, you know, people start asking you like, where can we record? Where can we do this? Where can we do that? And it's like, I don't know, we can rent the space or whatever, you know? So, you know, the help of you know, and some other amazing people, we were able to take the dive and build this incredible space that we're in, and we're just getting started.
This got to be like, feel like a dream at some point.
It does, you know, and like, I'm always like, man, if like when I was in the spare bedroom of my house, man, if I had a space, man, I'd be there all the time. And like I've had the space for like a month now. It's like I'm barely ever here because I'm so busy. You know? It's like sometimes I just want to come in here and just sit down and just work, you know.
Yeah.
And I'll get there because you know what, like the foundation of my business has been built on like offering a concierge service where like we come to you and we handle everything.
Yeah.
And that's like a core offering that we have. And like that will always be part of our business. Because some people don't like to leave their houses, or they don't like to leave their offices, and they enjoy the process of somebody coming to them and turning their space into a little mini studio for the day or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because people are busy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think I'll always have that. But I really, really look forward to kind of scaling this and building this so we can like spend some time here and we can build a team and we can expand our offerings and I can ultimately spend more time with my family and not run around Florida, you know, all over the place and you know, have like a good foundation here.
One of the worst things about this right now is people can't see the studio we're in because of the cameras are in tight and everything like that.
Well, they can go to my YouTube channel.
But they'll go to the YouTube channel. They'll see the build out.
Yeah.
And first of all, I know we both have to get somewhere after this, but we got to go for a part 2 because I want people to understand this next chapter of your life, of what you created here and what your vision is. But one of the things, and I want to kind of close this part on this. One of the things I found interesting was we were talking one time when we first started working together, and you said something about helping people tell their story. And the crazy thing that I realized after starting working with you was there's so many people who don't think their story is valuable.
Right.
There's so many people who are like, who wants to hear my story? Like, who am I? You know, I was a train wreck half my life or whatever. But in today's day and age where like everything is like fake AI, like garbage, authenticity is like making a comeback.
Yeah, I agree.
Being real is making a comeback. And I found, and you've seen me on my journey, selling products is like nothing. You got to sell yourself. People follow people, and then they'll buy the products that person is affiliated with. It's not like they buy products and then find the guy behind the products and they're like, oh yeah, he's cool, I'll follow him too. that's totally not how it goes.
Yeah.
So just like to close on that, talk about the value,
Mm.
like in like like in your mind,
Yeah.
the value of people who want to build a brand, tell their story, grow their business, whatever. What's the value of creating real, authentic content? You can't use AI for that. You need someone there capturing it.
Yeah.
What's the value you see today going forward?
I can tell you a story that actually happened today, and it's applicable to this. So the Lake Worth Beach CRA is a client of mine, and we go around to all different businesses in Lake Worth Beach, small businesses, and we do little video highlights for them, and it's really focused around the owner,
Mhm.
right? And the marketing team at the CRA has their list of questions, and they'll go through their questions, and they get through the questions, and I'm just like, man, that was so weak, that was so weak. And then I kind of chime in, and the lady today, she's like, you poked the bear. And I'm like, yeah, I poked the bear. And she was like saying something about the food, because the Dominican, it was a
Yeah, you were
Dominican
telling me
restaurant,
before.
right?
Yeah.
And she's talking about, I like this, about it. I was just like, man, it just wasn't like hitting anything. And I'm like, where are you from? And she's like, I'm from Brooklyn. And I'm like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. I'm like, now it's making a little more sense. Why is it important for you to even do this? Why should anyone care that you're passionate about food and that you have this restaurant? Why should people even come here? And she's like, well, this here, she's the chef. This is my cousin. She's from the Dominican Republic, and I'm building this business for my daughter to come and work. And then I'm like, well, yeah, but like, what about Brooklyn? There's so many tastes and smells and textures and like all these things. And then she like goes into it, and like she starts opening up, and you could see how excited she is and so passionate. Like, because at first the questions she didn't sound like anything. I'm like, come on,
Get some passion behind it.
Yeah. And like when I asked her where she was from, like it switched like that.
Yeah.
Like the Brooklyn came out, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's what people want. So to answer the question is that, yes, everybody has their story, right? And there's always a mess, right? But there's always a message within that some people can take and learn from. But I think, like you said, like everybody has their brand, right? And their product or whatever it is. But
Yeah.
most people are buying from the story. Like they'll go from the story first, right?
Yeah.
They'll want to know a little bit about like the story of who the person is and why they're doing what they're doing. And yeah, it is really important, because look, for the longest time, I thought that nobody would want to work with me if they knew that I was, if I had a drug problem or whatever in the past,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's my greatest asset. It's my greatest strength to have that resilience, to have gone through that, to get to where I am today. So if I tell somebody that, or somebody listens to this podcast and they're like, I'm not going to work with that guy. He was a freaking junkie down, you know what I'm saying? That's not who I am now. So if that person wouldn't want to work with me because of that, then God is repelling them away from me anyway.
Yeah.
So
Amen.
everybody who's in your life, everybody who's attracted to you through telling your story and getting authentic and getting vulnerable will come, and God will repel the ones that aren't supposed to be there.
Oh, amen. That
Yeah.
is so true. That
Yeah.
is so true. And that made you.
Yeah.
That experience, everything you went through, and you had
Yeah.
those seminal moments in your life where you're like,
Yeah.
I'm never gonna have anyone tell me we don't need you anymore. You're done here, So I mean,
It literally forged me
yeah.
into the man that I am today.
Yeah.
And to go back to the greatest accomplishment question, because this is a great tie into that, right? Because parenthood is, yes, like I am a husband, and I'm a father, and like I'll always say, like I'm a spiritual seeker. Like I love like that realm of things, but like my greatest accomplishment, the best thing I've ever done in my life, and the most important date in my life, is the day that I got clean and sober.
I bet.
April 14th, 2011, right? Because without that, none of this,
Yeah.
none of my life today in this simulation that we're in, none of it exists without April 11th, 2000, or April 14th, 2011.
No kidding. Yeah. Wow, it's amazing, man. That's amazing. And
It is.
I think that's going to be a great motivation to people who hear this, listen to us, whether they're going through something similar
Yeah.
or not. I mean, that's just it's what people need the most, is to believe in themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of mental health stuff too that goes along with it, and that's like a huge issue today. Mental health. It's like a buzzword.
Yeah.
It's like And everybody thinks that like there's no way out to like whatever, like "Oh, whatever I'm going through, man, I'm not gonna get through this. I'm not gonna get out of it." But like I'm living proof. Like I have mental health issues. But that kind of stemmed from the addiction and the drug use because when you're using drugs and you're addicted to these substances, your mental health is just absolute dog shit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But like once I put that shit down, the mental health got a lot better and the confidence and it all kind of snowballed. But
yeah.
like I'm a living testament that like no matter what it is that you're going through, drug addiction, mental health, substance use, problems with family members, whatever, those are all things that you can fix.
Yeah,
But you have to work on yourself first.
yeah,
Like that's what this journey of recovery and sobriety has taught me is that I'm the problem, right? Because
Mm.
for so long, and look, we live in the victim mentality culture,
Yes, we
right?
do. Yes, we
We
do.
live there,
Yeah,
right? And I did too. I sulked in that shit for so long. But once I got off the drugs and I did some work on myself, writing and like reading and talking to other people and like really like figuring out like why I do the things that I do, I realized that I'm not the victim. I did what I did and I need to own up to that. And once I like really sat with that and was like, okay, like the world's not against me. Like I'm not a bad person. I can figure this out. I can do it. I can change my life. Like I'm good. Let's go. Then we're on. We're off
and
to the races.
and and that's like ownership.
That's exactly
That's
it.
like that
Yeah.
extreme ownership. Like everyone knows Jocko
Yeah.
talks about it, but that's it. But
Yeah. And I've
that
read
is
that book many times.
yeah, me
you
too.
know?
And that's the critical thing
Yeah.
that people have to recognize. I think there's a small element in there of feeling like you deserve to get something more. I talk to a lot of people who tell me that in those moments they feel like they didn't deserve to have anything good. They didn't deserve to have a good life because they were just bringing everything down on themselves.
Yeah.
And I talk to a lot of people who say there was a switch that occurred where they said, not only can I, but I deserve that. I can get out of this. And I deserve to. I don't deserve to be in this. And that's shaking that victim mentality because the
Yeah.
victim mentality is I deserve this. The world is against me. It's never going to work out. I got felonies. I'm never going to get a job. No
Yeah.
one's ever going to hire me. I'm never going to get any kind of and no one's ever going to let me in their house. I stole from people. Like all those stories in your mind
Mhm.
until you just shake it and say, I got to stop telling these stories. We talked earlier about Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yeah.
And he says, the one of the worst things people do is they tell themselves this story every day when they wake up about the
Yeah.
person that they are. But it's such an old story.
Yeah.
No one's listening. No one knows that story except you.
Yep.
So just stop telling yourself that story every
Yeah.
day and tell yourself a different story.
Yeah.
Write a different story for yourself. Write a different script for the story of your life because you are the producer and you are the director of the story of your life. And guess
Yeah.
what? You're also the main character.
Mhm.
And you start shifting that. And just like we said, when you're looking for something, you let it go. You put that out to the universe.
Yeah.
And the universe is going to come bring that change to you.
I think that's where the spirituality aspect of my journey comes in and like being like we say it lightly like spiritual seeker, whatever it is, but like that's where that comes in. And I think that book, Breaking the Habit of
Being yourself.
right,
Yeah.
is such a great book. If people listening haven't read it, you should definitely read it. But yeah, it's like manifestation is real, right? The way you talk to yourself matters. And whatever you project into the universe is what you're going to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like literally, you said the truck thing. You mentioned about the truck, and like I've always wanted the truck, right? I always wanted the truck. I could never buy it, right? But I literally freaking manifested it. I was like, I would love to drive this truck. I visualized myself in it. And then an opportunity came for me to get it without having to pay for it. I mean, I pay for it, but I didn't have to pay for it,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? And it's just like, you can't make that shit up.
No.
You cannot make that shit up. You cannot, like, I literally put it into the universe and it happened. And that's my journey. Like, starting the business, the house, the family, whatever it is, like, you're worthy of it.
Yeah.
You just have to tell yourself that.
That's it. So people can hire you, find you where?
NYCZproductions.com, NYCZ is
Mhm.
our website. Our studio's here in Wellington. right behind the Wellington Green Mall. And then Instagram is just ASNYCZ. I should probably start an Instagram for the studio, huh?
I was gonna say
Yeah.
you need an Instagram
Yeah,
for
we
the
should probably do
studio.
that. We should probably do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm the type of guy that like I'll hold off doing something as long as I can. Like, I haven't found a need to create another Instagram or do it. It's just another thing for me to worry about. Like, I'd rather pour all the love into like one thing, one account, and just keep it there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I should probably do that eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. This is amazing, man. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
It's really been an honor and a blessing for me to get to know you. Big shout out to Lalo for introducing us.
Yeah.
And I know that this is just the beginning, man.
Yeah, that's another thing that I think people like you're only one connection away from whatever it is that you want. Just one connection, like one link,
Yeah.
like you and I wouldn't be sitting here if Lalo didn't connect us. And like I took Lalo's picture in 2012. I took his band's picture in 2012.
No kidding. That's how you met him.
And here we are almost 15 years later.
Yeah.
And we're still friends.
Yeah.
Our daughters are Lalo's daughter and my daughter are friends.
Isn't that
We're on the
crazy?
same cheerleading team. We both have businesses. We both have families.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. Yeah, it's like that 1 degree of separation. But I also want to say thank you to you, because not only was it cool getting connected with you and working together, and we've done some awesome things together. I know we're gonna do more things together, but like you inspire me in a lot of different ways, in health and fitness and business and family and the journey. And like you've also helped me in so many ways. And I think that's one other thing that is coming up for me now too, is that people are afraid to ask for help sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Especially as men, we're tough. We don't want to, I could do it myself. Chances are you can't, right? I didn't get to where I am today. And I still have a long way to go, but I didn't make the progress that I made today without having guys like you and guys like my first coach. Shout out to my first coach, Adam Jablin, helping me map out that whole transition of going full time into the video production business. And I worked with him once a week, like for a year, writing and talking and meeting and like just doing this, and it's so important. So like I think that guys, if you're out there listening and like you don't have that person, or you can call it a coach, you can call it a therapist, you can call it whatever it is. I think that if you're a man or whoever you are in today's world, like you need that outside reference to like someone just to help you and just to tell you like, dude, you're fucking doing good. Like you're okay.
Yeah.
I think more people need that.
And it's not weakness. It's not weakness at all. I know ego gets in the way, but it's more about, many minds can create great things.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to do it solo, sometimes it feels impossible. But when you kind of sit down, it doesn't need to be a lot of people. You just sit down with one person and the right person to give you that encouragement, give you that guidance, let you know that you can do it. And then like you said, you sit down together and you build a roadmap. And then you're looking at it, you're like, all right, I think I could do this. And then we talked about, you build in redundancies.
Yeah.
So in case it doesn't work out, you still know you're going to be okay. Because if you go for something and you have no redundancy behind it, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be screwed. But no, like you build in all the redundancies. So you're like, let's go for this. I'm going to be okay. We did the math. We ran the numbers. We're like, we got this. We're going to be good.
Yep.
We're going to be good.
And the beauty in that process too is now I'm able to help other guys, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm not a coach. I'm not this, I'm not that. Like I'm just a guy. I make videos. I'm a storyteller. I'm a creative, right? But I had a buddy of mine who's working full time. He's like, man, I don't know if this company's going to be around. I'm trying to map out I'm like, bro, come with me. I got the map.
There you go.
Let's fucking go.
There you go.
And he's doing his homework, and now we're going to get there.
The greatest way to hone your skills is to teach someone else.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting with you and you absorb, and then maybe you sit with someone else because you're like, but every great coach has a coach, and one of the greatest therapists I ever met, she's just this incredible woman, and I've known her forever. And I'll never forget the day when we were just talking at a coffee shop, and she's like, yeah, my therapist. And I was like, wait, what? I said, you're the therapist, like the therapist of therapists. I said, you have a therapist? She's like, of course I have a therapist.
Yeah.
She said, of course I do. We all need that. We all need that person in our world that, like you said, they kind of give you a different perspective and they open your eyes and they give you that confidence that maybe you just kind of need that bump. But I'll never forget that because she was this person that I had on this pedestal, and she had helped me with so many things, helped me through some of the worst parts of my life. And I was like, she has it all together.
Hmm.
But even she needed that.
Yep.
So yeah, you gotta ego aside. Ego is the enemy. There's a book. I'm gonna bring that book here. I'm gonna put it on the shelf. And just swallowing that pride to say, you know what, I'm gonna work. I'm gonna network. I'm gonna build. I'm gonna grow, and this is how I'm gonna make it to that next level. So, man, awesome, man.
Thanks
This
for
has
having
been
me.
great, man. We'll have to do this again.
All right,
We'll
see
run
you
it
next
back.
time.
All right.